All right, welcome into another edition of Catching Up with Tommy Mack here on 1010XL's podcast platform, brought to you by our good friends at Team Tommy Mack, just a great group of businesses that I love endorsing here on the show, social media, out on the street, wherever. They're always there for you when you need them. Of course, the 1010XL app, 1010XL website.com. You will find this show and many, many other such great talent that comes out of the 1010XL studios. Great to be home. Great to be home. Got home last night about 10:30. By the way, Jacksonville, JIA, the airport, was rocking last night at 10 o'clock when we arrived. We were all like, holy cow, look at all these people getting ready to take flights out. We had a direct from Hartford, Connecticut. Of course, we spent the last 5 days up in Northampton, Massachusetts, watching our Kelsey girl. Kelsey, I know you're on Facebook now if you're watching. We're so proud of you. She's such in her element, just so happy, kicking ass, look great. They had their year-end, the CLI Dance Conservatory had their year-end performance. Man, talk about talent. I mean, a ton of talent on that stage. And, man, my Kelsey girl, our Kelsey girl, that smile is so big and bright. And, man, she's great, man. She really kicked ass, and so proud to see her, so happy. I know my entire family felt the same way as we left her yesterday afternoon and headed back home to Jayville, and it is great to be home. I'll tell you this, if you've never been to Western Mass and that whole area, I guess, we didn't drive all the way around it, but just in Northampton through Holyoke, we stayed in Chicopee. Man, mountainous, beautiful, man, greenish, just incredible scenery. Another great bit of God's creation, no question about it. And such a cool little town, little hippie, little crunchy, a little bit of everything. And we had a great time. It was a lot of fun. Before we go any further, because we got a lot to get in, I'm excited to be back, if you can't tell. I'm excited to be back on this show, be back in Jacksonville. Lots going on, of course, here in Jacksonville, but also throughout the sports world. We'll get into it in just a minute. Let's say good morning to my man, Grammage, fresh and hot off the kitchen of a wedding in Nashville where he was the best man. What's up, Grammage?
Indeed, yes, sir. I got back late Sunday night.
Yep.
We drove. I've
done that.
Had another Nashville wedding a couple months ago when we flew that time, but I wasn't totally sure.
9.5, 10?
We did a little better than that. I think we did about 9.
Okay.
We did about 9.
Fair.
It both went up there and back.
Yep.
Atlanta wasn't terrible. We hit Atlanta at a good time.
Yeah.
Hit Chattanooga at a decent time.
Chattanooga going down those mountains,
my God.
man, it's so wild. First time, you're just like, whoa, I had a trailer behind me, too, and I was still hauling ass, not knowing what I was doing.
It's so funny.
Wild.
We've made this drive. My fiance and I have made this drive together many times now, and I've made it a billion times myself as well. When I got my license when I lived in Nashville, so I'm pretty used to driving hills and whatnot. She does not like it.
Yeah.
So that portion of the drive, she will not drive.
Yeah.
She's like, if you want me to drive, typically I drive the whole thing. But she's like, if you want me to drive it all, I got to drive the Florida part.
I got
the Florida to South Georgia part.
It is daunting. No question. I tell you what really kind of is a little eerie are those semi drive off so they can stop.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
They can't stop. They just go off the road, and there's an actual lane that goes up the hill.
Yep.
And then they eventually have a place for them to stop. But that'll scare you when you see that the very first time. But good, man. I'm glad you made it back. I'll tell you this, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. We got to get into it. So my daughter and her mates had to perform shows all weekend. I think 4 in total, right? And her and I, because she stayed with us, and then I drive her to the theater and whatnot. We had great conversations, and I asked her, I said, do you get nervous? She's like, not really. We've done it so much that we don't get nervous. We just don't. It was even funny. The next day she was off because she did the night show and then the matinee, and then the second group does the matinee or the night show and then the matinee again. But on the way into the matinee, she gets a text from her. They call it the opposite. It's the same show, but two different classes do it. And she's like, I'm not feeling good. I think I hurt my hip flexor. You may have to go on. As we're driving in, and my Kelsey was like, no problem. I'm like, man, not nervous at all. She's like, no, we've done it so much. And then it reminded me back to when we went to Fort Hood on the Suck It Up tour when Dallas had the Super Bowl. And I was in a car one-on-one. It was after we took a tour and all this. I was in the car with this major, I don't know what his title was. He wasn't a colonel or anything like that, but higher up in the Army. And I said, you guys, do you get scared? He's like, nah, we're so prepared. We don't have time to be scared. I'm like, really? He's like, no, we train these kids, these people so hard, and they're so ready that fear doesn't even come in. And I'm just like, wow. So think about that, like preparation, right? Think if you're prepared, you should be all right. Like you still may get the nerves, you still may get a little anxiousness. We all do, but if you do it, it just, to me, that was a big, big thing for me. I was like, man, you know what? It's so true. Because then I take it to football. The more prepared a team is, the better they're going to be. More confident they're going to be. The more free range, flying around type football team they're going to be. Maybe that's why I get so pissed off when I know that our Jaguars forget plays and forget coverage and guys are wide open. Because I know that all that is studying, is putting in the extra time to study. But I'm telling you, when she said that, I was like, that's pretty cool, man. Pretty cool.
Why are Bill Belichick and Tom Brady the best to ever do it? Because they're the best preparers ever. Tom Brady is the most prepared quarterback that's ever played football.
Can't argue. I don't think you can argue that.
And Bill Belichick is the most prepared coach to ever take the field.
Yeah.
That's why they won some. When you watch the Patriots, the main sentiment I always remember from watching them is it always felt like they were a step ahead of everyone else.
Right.
They were always prepared for certain things that another team felt surprised by.
Yep.
No matter who they played.
They're probably, and I don't know this factual, but I bet you there weren't many plays where Tom Brady stepped up to the line and is like, I know where I'm going with the ball and I know who's open.
Correct.
Like I already know. I've seen this. Here it comes. And now granted, that years doesn't happen overnight. Years of, doing this, being in that system, being on that team, being with Bill Belichick, being all together, that there is something to that. But they're towards that last, 10 years of his career, probably was like that. It's like, yeah, I've seen this.
And they were,
didn't fool me.
They were doing this in the beginning when it wasn't so new, or when it wasn't so old hat. I should say when it was newer, like the Super Bowl against the Rams, and then the Panthers, and then the Eagles. Like those were they were like where Kansas City is now, like still only a few years into this thing in terms of dominance.
Right.
It always felt like they had a move for whatever you did.
I just over the weekend or while we were traveling, I read something where Brady. Maybe I listened to it or watched it on a little clip, but he said, no, I read it. He was so upset at Michigan that he wasn't getting enough playing time. Like he wasn't getting his chances. He was getting like 2 reps of practice. So he went to the schools or the team psychiatrist or whatever, started talking. He's like, well, then make those 2 the best ever. And he's like, it changed my entire mindset. He was right. I had 2 opportunities. They got to be the greatest that I've ever done in my life. That's how I got to look at it. It was just fascinating. But again, I'm not getting off on a soapbox here, but preparedness, man, is everything. And I know they're working hard down there. They're running around. It's funny. My daughter's like, Dad, are you going to go to the OTAs? I'm like, no, I'm not. Because, look, they are working hard, but it's on air. I'm not, whatever. You can gain some things. There's no doubt. But at the end of the day, until the pads come on, until it's real, we're not going to know what this team is. But I don't even know what the psyche is yet, and that's half the battle.
I think it's a relevant topic, though, because how often last year were there times where particularly the offense didn't feel prepared for certain situations?
Oh, you're right. Throughout the year.
Throughout the season.
Regular season.
You're telling, like...
Clearly. You had your star, quote-unquote, wide receiver not knowing plays.
That's lack of preparation.
Give me a break. And nobody held hit. I've already been through that.
But the fiasco at the end of the first half against the Ravens. If a team that's more prepared in that situation doesn't make that mistake.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like there were multiple situations throughout the year where better or at least different preparation probably would have yielded better results. Absolutely. And I think that was very true. That there was a time in the year we talked about on the show that this team just doesn't seem to be the sharpest mentally.
Right.
They're
on
making
defense, the back end, the coverage was messed up quite a bit.
They're making bad mistakes. There's mental thing. They're beating themselves in a lot of ways. And I'm sorry, the NFL is too competitive. It's too good. If you beat yourselves, you're screwed.
You're not talented enough to just overcome that.
No one is. The Chiefs aren't.
No, they're not.
Like,
if they keep shooting themselves in the foot and turn the ball over and making mistakes, whatever it may be, not running the right route, whatever it is, not knowing the protection, not knowing where to go with the football, not taking what's given. There are plenty of that too. But that's last year. We're looking forward to this year. Well, but I don't want to beat that up, but you're right about that, man. And that's all attitude, Grammage. That's all attitude. That's saying, you know what? I'm going to know my playbook inside and out. I'm going to know my game plan inside and out. I'm going to know the tendencies of the other team inside and out. That does nothing to do with talent. It's all to do with attitude. And I don't think they had that last year. And for the record, we've heard things that, guys leaving early, not really doing enough, not coming in on their day off, that kind of stuff. Again, that was then. This is now. Great book. But, hopefully that has changed. It's got to change.
Well, real quick, my last point I'll make on this is so think about, we heard this with this team last year, and I think we heard it the year before a little bit.
Yep.
And you hear it with teams all the time. This is a very common phrase we hear. It'll be halfway through the year when an offense is struggling, particularly an offense, usually. Yep. They're struggling, not getting it done. How often do we hear, we needed to simplify things.
Right.
Things were just a little too we needed to simplify things so our players can just do and not think.
Yep.
Did you ever in 20 years hear the Patriots ever say that?
No.
Every receiver that played for them for a long time.
Just look, our defensive coordinator, Dom Capers, he had 80 blitzes. You had to know them all, even if you weren't on the team like nickel or dime. You had to know them, and there were checks to every blitz because of formation or motion or whatever.
And did he ever once say, no, we need to simplify this?
Well, there's something to that, but not to an extent where it's just vanilla defense or offense, right? There is something to, I do think if it's true what Caldwell, the defense coordinator, was running last year where half the field was man, half the field was zone, that's a little bit much. Now you really got to think. You know what I mean? You just do. It's too much to think about. You could have simplified that. You know what I mean? So it really depends. But yeah, you're right. Look, especially today, especially offenses are run, defenses run, it's very complex. And you do probably have to know a lot. But that's your job. So make sure you know it. I'm saying, you're listening out there, man. A preparation is the key. And I'll tell you something else. Before we went to Western Mass, my brother and his two boys, 16 and 13, two stud young athletes, look good, work hard. They love it all. Me and my brother just one-on-one having conversations. I'm like, could you imagine being a teenager, going back when we were teenagers, and knowing not only was there a potential scholarship out there, but there was money out there to be made by playing college football? Can you imagine how much even further we would have trained? I know I trained my ass off. I had to. But I can't even imagine that. So if I'm in high school right now and I got any bit of a chance to go to college and play a sport, I don't care what sport, I am working my ass off, not just for the scholarship, but you're going to be way ahead of the game when you're done with school. That's a good thing, I think. Now, will it change over time? It probably will. Have more guidelines and whatnot. But I tell you what, that would influence me a ton. And by the way, I started to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Same with college. Look what you can get. The better, more prepared you are, the better player. Look at the NFL. We're going to get into Trevor is one comment. It's all good, but I just want to go through it when we get into Jaguar talk. But it's his turn. It's his turn. Fine, it is. That's great. But think of the money look what Justin Jefferson just signed for. I didn't know he turned down $28 million like a year ago, and now he's $35 million. $110 million in guaranteed money for Justin Jefferson. Fantastic. The money continues to go through the roof. And guess what? That's like, I don't know, that's like CEO money. You know what I mean? You're good. You're good forever. Your whole family's good forever. Your family's good forever. It's fantastic that it's there. But guess what? The better you are, the more money you're going to make. It's just the way it is.
Well, someone like Justin, he's earned that, man. There's
total stud. I agree.
Total stud, yep. Been nothing but like a team player, done everything the organization's asked him to.
The organization.
He's represented them well.
It matters.
Dude, that stuff really matters. It's the Josh Allen equivalent to here.
Yep.
That guy, through all the crap Josh Allen had gone through in Jacksonville, he's never been anything but class.
Yeah.
And then he had some seasons with inconsistency, but 2 particular seasons, rookie and this past year, was a force on the production was there.
I mean, look, the critique was warranted. It was.
Oh, it was, 100%.
I mean, it was. Until this past year, which he had a phenomenal year. And I'm glad they say he earned that contract.
I know you can appreciate this when you are criticized by ourselves on this show and any media and whoever.
Yeah.
There's one way to respond.
Yeah.
And it's go out and perform and have a career season like he did.
Career, and then make a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
And be set for life and never have to work.
My favorite.
I love when people are like, how is it being retired? I'm like, I'm not retired. I got about 15 more years or 20 more years of work before I'm retired. But no, it's fantastic. Real quick, what were you going to say?
I just want to say my last thing on the preparation thing. In terms of the football world, talking about being prepared, my favorite thing ever is that little blip from the Super Bowl storied things they would do on NFL Network with the Giants when Coughlin was there. And that clip in training camp where someone messed up a play or whatever, and he's, we just lost the game because of a legal procedure.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny.
That's my favorite
he's a big
clip.
Man, big on preparedness. And it was when I interviewed him a while ago. By the way, he's our guest this Thursday night. Tom Coughlin and Kelly Coughlin at the 904 Pro Show. I can't wait to talk.
Then I will take credit for that segue.
Yeah, I appreciate that big time. But I interviewed him before. We were at the Beach Diner up on Atlantic Boulevard in Atlantic Beach, just him and I. And he's like, if you don't take care of the little things, eventually they become big things and they become problems. You take care of the little things and wipe them out, the big things won't seem so big. Absolutely correct. In my book. All right, let's take a look around the National Football League real quick. Rest in peace, Larry Allen. Oh, I don't know. I didn't know Larry. What makes me sad is, he's passed at the age of 52. He was on vacation with his family in Mexico. I mean, how sad. How sad. I don't know how he died. I haven't heard that yet. We all know how great of a player he was. And just phenomenal. I didn't know his total backstory. Grew up in Compton. Was stabbed 12 times once by defending his friends. And he grew up in a really, really tough freaking environment, a rough environment, I should say, but ended up at Sonoma State, second-round pick. We know the story. I mean, one of the best offensive linemen to ever play the game. 52, man. So young. That is so young, and God bless his family. I really hated to see that. I hate to see it doesn't matter if you're a football player or not, but, man, that's tough. On vacation and just passes away. May he rest in peace. No question about that. I mentioned Justin Jefferson. I got to mention, I'm not even calling him cousin anymore. Brandon McManus, released by the Commanders. Well, after all the crap that Daniel Snyder put him through, that's the only thing you can do. And it's all alleged still. It's all alleged. But you know what? If it was nothing, they wouldn't have released him. And maybe the Jags wouldn't have let him go either. I don't know. Who knows? But what an idiot. Look at him. If it's all true, look, you're out of a job. Because why? Because your ego is like, look at me. And I can grind up on you because I'm me. Freaking kicker. No offense to all of my friends that are kickers. I don't mean it like that, but sit down. Leave them alone. And if it is true, okay, first of all, the alcohol, I don't care. Come on. They're grown men. Now, are they totally canned, getting off the plane? Different story than having a few beers or whatever. I think we had beers and stuff on the plane, always after the game. It wasn't, going up to the game, but you're heading to London. You got time. It's not like you're playing the next day. So I don't care about that. And whatever. The Jags got to deal with that, whatever. But the other stuff, if that's true, and nobody was like, yo, man, sit down and knock it off. What are you doing? What are you doing? No, they don't. You can tell. We all can tell when somebody, I don't care, man or woman or whatever, doesn't like what's going on. Whether they're being talked to and they don't want to be a part of the conversation, or someone's touching them or they don't like it. You can see it. Where the hell was everybody? I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing? Leave them alone. Nobody. If it's true. That not surprising, because once again, where was the leadership last year? I don't think it was. So I don't get it. I don't know why you wouldn't tell that son of a bitch to sit the you-know-what down and leave those women alone. Throwing $100 bills like he's in M&M. Give me a break. You 80% kicker. You stunk last year. Take that name off the back of your jersey, bitch. If it's true, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said it. Sorry. I shouldn't have said that. You don't have to cut it out, but I do apologize.
That's the clip.
Said that. But that's ridiculous. It sure is. No doubt about that. All right, Tyson Paul and Tyson Paul postponed. Tyson's, I don't know, he's 55. He's got issues. They're not going to fight right now. They said they'll fight later in the year. I hope so. I want to see if Paul can really take a shot. That's all I want to see. Like Kenny. I know he's a tough guy. He is, and he can fight. He wouldn't be doing what he's doing if he didn't know how to box. So I just want to see, can Tyson give him a real good left? Like almost take his head off kind of left, and can Paul take it? Not many can. I wonder if Jake Paul can, but that fight is postponed.
But if that fight gets a couple, I don't know fighting like that. I don't know boxing like that, so I'm not some expert. If I had to guess, if that fight gets a couple rounds in, Tyson's going to be hurting pretty bad.
As far as being tired,
yes,
yeah, and then it's over.
Right.
Once you go tired, forget about it.
Like if Tyson were to win, it would need to be a knockout.
Yeah,
first, second round type thing.
Right, but that's what you got to test.
Yeah, I mean, if
early?
anyone can do that, it's Mike Tyson.
Now they are 2-minute rounds, I think, so they did shorten the round. I'd have asked if I'm Mike, I'd be like, minute.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go 30 seconds. You know what I mean? I'll do 15 rounds for 30 seconds. I'll be good.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, that fight is being postponed. All right, I want to talk real quick because we do got some Jaguar talk to get into. This whole, and I want to get your take on this, Grammage. This whole Caitlin Clark getting bullied in the WNBA. Now, no disrespect to the ladies. I'm sure if I saw it in like live, sat at the in the arena and watch, I'd be very impressed. There's no doubt. I don't watch it. Now I watch the clips. I've seen what's been going on, what's been happening. Look, these veterans, they throw Angel Reese to the ground too. It's not just Caitlin. I know that last one was pretty cheap. We'll get into that in just a second, but it hasn't carried over for me. Like, now, if I was in Indianapolis like my brother, would I want to go see a game? Yeah, I probably would, I guess. I don't know how compelled I am to go watch women's basketball. I've got nothing but respect for them, but it's just not something I would go out of my way to watch.
Well, you're not like a huge basketball guy.
Not a huge I mean, look, I loved playing basketball when I was younger. I do love watching March Madness when it really, I love watching all of March Madness. I don't watch every game, but I do like watching that. I do like the NBA playoffs. Like, I'm going to watch the Celtics and the Mavs. Mm-hmm. I kept an eye on. Now, all transparency, my brother's kid's from Indianapolis, so they kind of clued me in on the Indianapolis team. I had no idea who was on their team whatsoever, but they're big fans. They were disappointed they got swept. So I've kept my eye on it. Look, Luke is unbelievable. And what's he got, Irving with him? Kyrie, right? Kyrie Irving? I mean, those, can they be stopped? You got Tatum on the other side.
Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
And Brown, right. Yeah, so I'm going to watch. That's compelling to me. But anyway, back to Caitlin Clark. So, look, I don't know. The last one, at least what I think is the last one, was cheap, where the player went up and just nailed her. And, look, this isn't for everybody, but if I'm her, I'm not looking at the ref. I'm getting up and going after the woman. And I don't care, I was talking on Twitter about it, and someone said, well, she'd get her butt. Well, who knows? Who knows? I don't know. What if she lands a good shot and the girl goes down? I don't know. I'm not saying go and punch her, but definitely get up and be like, what's up? Like, what's up with that? Like, get in her face, show that. And by the way, the teammates not coming to her defense is total bullshit. And I know I'm swearing a lot today, and I'm really sorry, but I'm very emotional today, very passionate today, that nobody went after that woman at all. I don't even know who the basketball player is. I don't know. But part of me is like, look, she's being indoctrinated into the WNBA. Tell me this, okay? I don't care what level. You're going to play a team who's got a stud on the other side. Maybe it's a brand new rookie. Maybe it's the number 1 pick in the draft. I don't know. What do you want to do you think? I want to knock the living crap out of him is what I want to do. I want to see if this young kid has got what it takes to play in the National Football League. That's what I want to see. Now, am I going to cheap shot him? Well, listen, back when we were playing, you could hit quarterbacks. Call it a cheap shot, call it whatever. Interceptions, guess who you hunted for? The QB. And I mean hunt. And if you couldn't get to him, you're hunting the O-lineman when they're not looking. That's what you want to go do. You want to knock them in their ear hole and make sure they know that you're going to hit them every chance you get. Although they win in those fights typically, but not on interceptions or fumble returns when they're not looking. Same thing for QB. So, look, I don't have a problem with her getting bullied. I saw Angel Reese get thrown to the ground too, and with her comment, she lives out there in fantasy land. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest with you, if Caitlin Clark brings millions of viewers or not. All I'm saying is, like, she needs to assert herself. She needs to not take any crap from anybody else. Look, I think it's affected her game. There are a couple games she's had good games. There are a couple games she's had terrible games. It's part of the next level. Look, it's nothing new. It's nothing new for a rookie who's phenomenal to go to the next league and struggle early or get knocked around. Now, again, the last one was blatant. Somebody should do something about that. And I did, but for Caitlin's defense, I did see her get in the face with somebody over the weekend or late last week as they were going down the court. She yelled at her, yelled back. So good for her, man. Her teammates need to back her up. And, look, at the same time, she's got to go through it. And I think she'll be fine. She's got to, I equated it. You're too young for this movie, Youngblood, but there's a hockey movie called Youngblood. You ever heard of it? Mm. Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe, and Eddie Lauder. Eddie Lauder's the coach. I told you the Eddie Lauder story. Show me around Beverly Hills. Remember that old time actor, been in like 70, 80 movies. Anyway, Eddie Lauder's the dad in it, or the coach and the dad to the girl. And Youngblood's just total stud hockey player, scorer. Total coming out of high school, can't fight worth a lick. During training camp, he gets beat up pretty good. So he doesn't make the team. He won't engage. He's kind of afraid. Goes home. His older brother, I'm paraphrasing here. His older brother and dad, they get him back into it. His brother goes at him like, "Come on, man, hit me!" Like they go at it. Anyway, he turns into a tough guy who can score. So he goes back onto the team. Swayze, I think it's paralyzed. He gets run into the board by this bully that Rob Lowe fought earlier. And guess what? They go toe-to-toe, and Rob wins. Now, it's a movie. I get that. But that's how I equate Caitlin Clark, this total stud. Let's see what she's got. Maybe WNBA players sit there like, college hoops ain't that physical. Let's show her how physical we are. Let's show her that she can't just take off and shoot from 35 feet out or whatever it is. Let's show her that we're going to be in her face. It's not going to be easy like it was in college. And in all due respect to every college program out there and all the college athletes present and past and future, college was easy compared to the NFL. Easier, without a doubt. The competition's way harder in the NFL. It's the same. It's the same. Now, she had competition. I'm not saying that. But at the end of the day, it's not the WNBA. So she's getting indoctrinated. I don't have a problem with it. And look, I don't like the racial undertones. I think I thought we're getting past that, right? I don't like any of that stuff. I think we got to get rid of that. I don't think it has anything to do with color. I think it has to do with a young hotshot coming into the league, and the veterans are going to show her what it's all about. If they're a little too rough, okay, I can give you that. By the way, was there a technical? Did the girl get a technical? I don't recall.
She did, and the foul got upgraded after the game.
Did she get thrown out of the game?
I think so. Okay. I'm not 100% sure. So
okay, so what?
Don't quote me on that, but
so. I mean, this uproar, I saw it all over Twitter. Like, she's bringing all these people, all this stuff. Blah, 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 blah. You got to treat her better. Why? Why do you got to treat her better? Oh, they're making you more money. Well, okay. Well, she's making a lot of money. Maybe we'll make a lot more money. Maybe. You saw what their salaries are. She's making all endorsement money. She ain't making money from the league. Her salary's like $76 grand. I think I saw something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not like they're, rolling in, $250,000, $500K, something like that.
And to your point, if you're an opponent, what are you supposed to do? Come during the middle of the game and be like, hey, you're making so much money. If I'm going too hard, let me know.
Yeah, if I'm going too hard,
right.
Just give me a wink.
The part that bothers me, and you kind of just hinted on it a minute ago, why, God, Caitlin Clark breathes, and there has to be a think piece about it.
Right.
It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Because it's not like she's out here saying controversial stuff or really.
No. Right.
She's just a big icon of an athlete that is playing, and all she's really trying, from what I can tell, all she's really trying to do is just navigate this next stage of her career, go through her struggles, take her lumps, and get better.
Right.
And I think Angel Reese is doing similar stuff. She says some more things, but man, this is sports, man. Yeah. And look, I think the way that this stuff is being treated is, I think a lot of people in the media are kind of telling on themselves a bit personally, because for forever, all these people have always wanted to say, okay, we really just want these women to get the same respect that the men get in their respective sports, and we just want them to be treated the same, and yada yada yada. Well, with men get in fights during games all the time. Yeah. Men get ejected from games all the time.
Fouls all the time.
And it never unless someone says a racial slur or something extreme.
Right.
It never. The conversation never gets outside of the realm of sports. Everyone keeps it in the context of sports. When Draymond Green gets ejected, it's, man, he's costing the Warriors.
Right.
It's not some think piece that he's black or against some white player or whatever.
Think about it.
Every single thing that's happened with Caitlin Clark and people being physical on her and people, potentially escalating to a fight or people getting ejected from games, it becomes this big political think piece. Right. This is sports, man.
Leave it alone.
Sports are supposed. Well, this should be good for the league. Yeah. This is what sports are. Sports are rivalries. The fact that Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, clearly there wasn't a lot of love lost between them in college, was great for the sport.
Right.
That was great for the sport.
Think of Magic and Bird.
Right.
College, pro. Now they didn't. I don't know. I think they got along overall, but
the fact that they
rival.
The fact that when basketball started, they wanted to kill each other was good.
Right.
The fact that the bad boy Pistons wanted to beat up Jordan
and
was good.
They did.
You know why it was good? Yeah. Because sports at the end of the day are entertainment, and you wanted to watch that.
Right.
If you were a casual basketball fan that wasn't going to tune in anyways, but you heard that these Pistons like to really beat up on you, you'd be like, man, I want to see what's up with that. Yep. That is what should be in a sense what is happening to the WNBA. Right. But it becomes this again. I think a lot of media people are telling on themselves because they're for forever. They always said that they don't want this to be a political thing. They just want people to consume and enjoy women's sports the same way they do men's. Well, now you've got box office material in the women's game, and they're making it some think piece. Why can't I just watch the game and enjoy the rivalries?
So look, I think it would be the same, but tell me if I'm wrong. The star player out of SC, who's not in the pros yet,
Juju Watkins.
Yeah. Okay. Say she could be bigger than Caitlin Clark. You know what I'm talking about? Total stud point guard. I think shooter, phenomenal basketball player for USC. She comes out next year. Say she's bigger.
Yeah, Juju Watkins.
Then thank you. Bigger than Caitlin or close, whatever. It doesn't matter. Going to have all these endorsements, all this stuff. Is she going to get treated the same? Number one, I think she will. And number two, are we going to react the same? I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I don't sit there and look at Caitlin like, little Bo Peep, or Snow White or some, fragile little thing, white girl that can't. She can play hoop. She's bringing a lot of people to the game. She ain't the only one, but she's the headliner. She's the star. People want to see her. And all I'm saying is the way she's being treated doesn't surprise me. The last foul, sure, but do something about it. Team, go do something about it. It's like an offensive lineman that protects his QB. You want to take a shot at my QB? Guess who's coming next? Guess who's coming? It's like being a bouncer, which I used to love, coming around the corner and it's go time. and out the door you go. You know what I mean? Maybe you bang your head, maybe you don't. I don't know, but that's, I think she needs a little bit of that, and I think she'll be fine. Media loves the people. Gosh, it's so like, I shouldn't let Twitter get to me so much, because I do look at Twitter, especially in the morning. I do. And if you notice, when I tweet, I normally tweet early in the morning, because that's when it's fresh, and it gets me going. It gets me going. Let's get going into some Jaguar talk, baby, brought to our friends at Team Tommy Mac. I tell you, just a group of great businesses that I get to personally endorse here on the show. They're there when you need them, right? You may not always need new carpet, but when you do, you call the carpet man, right? You do. You're not, hopefully you're thrown in jail, but if you do, you call Chris Rosero's Bail Bonds, right? You need some hauling, right? You're a contractor, you're a new home builder. You need J-Dog junk removal and hauling, right? Need some food? Graffiti American Burger Bar. Boom. It's there at Jack's Beach. It's phenomenal. You got to check it out. All new ownership, everything. Need a place to stay? Salt Air Inn and Suites right down the beach, 4 blocks from the beach. Concierge service. You got Code Ninjas. You want to get your kids into some IT and some coding and learning about security. I tell you, that's the future, right? Get some certificates. Be ready to rock when you're done with high school. Family traditions, specialty foods, right? We're working on some jerky. The sauces are phenomenal. You need some hot sauce? Boom, Coconut Joe's hot sauce. You need some health insurance, life insurance, auto insurance, home insurance. Michael Nickus is State Farm. Been my agent. He should be yours too, man. They're all right there for you. And always greatly appreciated to have them all on. I think I got them all. I want to thank Adaptive Jacks. You need good marketing, need some branding? Adaptive Jacks right there in Jacksonville Beach, adaptivejacks.com. And, of course, want to thank the 1010 XL Studios. All right, let's get into Jaguar talk. They're in OTAs. Look, they're working hard. I get it. I've pretty much decided, Grammage, this camp, I'm not going to any OT. I'm not going to do any of that. I learned my lesson last year. Everybody looks good running around. Every team across the league, they're faster, hopefully. They're bigger. They look better. They feel great about their team. Great. Everybody looks good when, nobody's getting hit. It's okay. It's part of the process. I'm not bad. I'm just not going to sit there and watch, an offense run on air. They need it. I know they need it. They need the repetition. They need the practice. I just don't need to see it because it's not going to impress me. I'm like, great, he completed a pass. Great, the guy looks fast. Great, he ran the right route. Beautiful, he made the catch. Awesome. That's what professional athletes do, and I would expect that. So here's what I'm thinking for training camp. I'm going to let the warm-up periods go by before I come. Because a lot of times, now, look, it's good to be seen. It is by your peers, other people in the media, some of the fans. It's good. They appreciate the ones that are there all the time. I get that. They do. And they should. They're covering the team. They're doing their best to, be a positive, influence, whatever. But I'm not going to sit there and watch the wide receivers warm up like I did last year for 2 weeks. I'm not. It's 30 minutes. It's whatever. When they get into some real drills, and one-on-ones included, especially with pads, that's when I'm gonna come into the practice, I think. At least that's my plan. Because I don't want to sit there and just sit there. Now, I get to talk to Coach Campo a lot, so I like that. I'll do that on occasion, of course, but I want to see this team in full pads, getting after it. And last year, it took to the last practice. So, I'm a little tempered in my expectations. So, look, at the end of the day, past 2 years, they've been a 500 ball club, a little bit over at 9-8. We know how 2 years ago it ended. We know how last year it ended. At the end of the day, they're right at just above 500. So it's got to be better than that. I got them 10 wins. I hope they can get there, but I got to see it. And look, they don't hear the good stuff hardly ever. There's a lot of good stuff on this show when they do well. There's no doubt. I will praise them till the cows come home when they kick ass and do great. So let's hopefully they get there. I see Doug mention again, I'll paraphrase, something about being a physical team. I hope so. I think you've added physical players, right? I know Armstead's physical. I know Morse is physical. I know Darby's a physical corner. Sounds like this Jerry and Jones kid's turning out to be. But again, We'll get into that in just a minute. But, man, I hope they're physical because that was a big thing they lacked last year. And I don't care what they say. I don't care what they think. The reality is when you watch them, they weren't as physical when they needed to be. They weren't as physical when they should have been. They got outmatched physically quite a bit. Fair to say? I think it's fair to say. All right. Anyways, well, hopefully they change that, and it is a better year in that regard, and they get above the 500 area and get into those 11 wins, get into winning the division. I keep hearing this stuff. Again, it's off season. Look out for Tennessee. I was listening. What was I listening to? Was he today? I was strolling through the channels, and it was a national show saying, "Oh, Tennessee might be built perfectly." Look what what? Yeah, if Will Levis can play, who knows? But it does come down to that. Just like it's going to come down to Trevor Lawrence and his performance in year 4 and year 3 under Doug. I expect it to be better, more consistent. That's what we need, right? I don't care about the yards. I don't need 400 yards. I don't need 4 touchdowns. I need a QB to run the offense efficiently and not turn the ball over and score points. That's at the end of the day. I want him to throw for a lot of touchdowns. That'd be great. 30 and 10, Trev, can we get to that? 30 and 10? That would be elite, or up there in that elite category. Hasn't been there. 25 and 8 is the closest. Okay, that's pretty good. It's actually really good. But we need more of that.
But I agree wholeheartedly on the efficiency part.
Yep.
It needs to be, you need to be about, correct me if I'm wrong here, you need to be about doubling the successful things you do relative to the mistakes. Does that make sense? What I'm saying, like how I'm phrasing that? Like if you're,
I would say, I know what you're saying because it would make up for the mistakes.
Or maybe even tripling, I guess. Because if you're 30 and 10, you're
like if you throw 4 or you throw 2 picks, but you throw 4 touchdowns.
Right.
So it's a great day because he threw 4 touchdowns.
Right. If you throw the 2 picks with 2 touchdowns,
it's not that great of a day.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's the Josh Allen thing. Josh Allen throws a lot of picks.
He does.
But he sure as hell throws a lot of touchdowns too.
For the record, Brett Favre, he was 2-1. 2-1 ratio. That's 20 and 10. 30 and 50. Now his is hundreds to 100, but that's what it is. So 2-1's a good ratio to have. We expect more. I'm like 30 and 10.
And if Brett Favre played if he played in this era, it'd probably be 3-1.
Yeah, it could be. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think 2-1 in that era was pretty damn good. When you look at his stats, I'm pretty sure Troy Aikman was like 2-1-ish.
Yeah. Well, and back then you got pounded as a QB.
Yeah.
Now, Trev got hit a lot, but there was no rules to the face.
Yeah.
Getting a split chin was like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
I split my chin.
Well, and I think
bloody the nose, no problem. Wipe it.
And I think with the weapons they have, the offensive line is going to be the biggest X factor to me. But when you look at the weapons they have and what the offense looks like, at least on paper, I know we said this last year and they disappointed.
Yep.
It's really time for what this offense can be on paper to actually look like it on the field. It's really time for the fact that you can list 4 to 5 deep these weapons you feel good about. Ingram, Kirk, Davis, Thomas, Etienne. It's really time that turns into some 35, 40-point games.
Well, you know what it's time for, Grammage? It's time for, and I saw Doug talked about Parker Washington. It's time for, because I don't want to hear this, Kirk goes down, we got nothing. No. Who's your backup? And make sure he knows what the hell he's doing every time, right? Quarterback, why? They brought in Mac Jones for a reason. If Trev goes down, he can run our offense and run it efficiently, and we feel good about him. You know what I'm saying? So let's change that narrative. Hey, I don't want any of them to go down, but the reality is guys get hurt. Who's next up? I don't want such a big drop-off. There shouldn't be such a big drop-off. I don't care what position we're talking about.
We've talked about this before. How come? And look, every team's going to deal with injuries this year. It's going to happen.
Yep.
And it's going to affect some teams worse than others, just like it always does. But to your exact point you just made, and we've talked about this before on the show, how come Mark Andrews can go down for the Ravens and Isaiah Likely becomes a Pro Bowler?
And be fine, right, exactly.
How come that's the case?
Good personnel, having depth. I don't, and they got plenty of money. So it's not a cap thing. there was, I mean, I was a backup and a starter. I started half. I played in 50. I started half, 25, roughly 24. I mean, I never felt like I couldn't start. And neither did the coach, or my teammates. They were like, yeah, you're the guy now. Let's go. There was no, well, he's the guy now, so, we might drop off. No, there was none of that garbage. And you were held to the same standard as the starter, even when you weren't playing.
And
that's how you were held accountable, like during practice and stuff. You had to be prepared to play, to start. I hear all this, well, Kirk got it. Okay, I know. Well, where's the next guy?
Yeah.
And why isn't he in there making things happen consistently?
Well,
not prepared enough.
When you think about it, the offensive line only played one full game together.
Oh, pull this like it plays friggin' Jingle Bells. I mean, give me a break.
I mean,
just whatever.
So
just show me,
Yeah.
What's the show me state? Maryland? I don't know. There is a show me state. Like land of Lincoln is Illinois.
Is it Montana?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Show me state. Anyway, show me.
But why
please.
And it, just like we're talking about here, and to me, it's a combination of depth and drafting well and talent acquisition and roster building paired with setting guys up to succeed. Be that coaching, be that leadership in the locker room, be that preparedness. Mm-hmm. It's those two things together, because it isn't a coincidence, and this has been true for my entire life watching football. It's always seemed to be the same teams that can suffer attrition and still stay above water versus the teams that suffer attrition and collapse.
Right.
The Steelers have always been able to do it. Yep. The Ravens have always been able to do it. The Patriots have always been able to do it. Yep. These are the same organizations, man. San Fran. These are the same organizations over and over and over again that seem to always have these backups you've never heard of that come in and they perform. Why is that?
Because, I'll tell you why. Because, like I say all the time, what's the key to drafting well? Talent in your scheme that fits your culture.
Yeah.
You got those three, you got a winner.
100%.
I mean, it's so true. It's look, I don't want to continue to go back, but I will. You go back to Al Coughlin. What did he build his teams with? Mentally and emotionally and physically tough individuals. Tough individuals on the field, off, but good guys too, like gentlemanly type, but physical. And they could take a pounding, they could give a pounding, and they could take the heat from the coach. And then you add that all together with talent that fits your scheme. Oh my gosh, set it on fire, man. Hit the match. That's what you got to have. You can't have 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but it ain't good enough. It's not. You got to have that. And I'm telling you, the culture, the psyche, we make this thing to be out, like, in my opinion, like it's not, I always say it as a joke, it's not rocket science, it's football. It's attitude. It's being prepared. It's being in the best shape of your life. It's, making yourself harder on yourself than anybody else. Look it in the mirror first. Hold yourself accountable for. I knew when I played like crap, win or loss, and I hated it. I knew right away. And I knew how I was going to get bitched at the next day. College, pro, you name it. I knew. I knew when I missed tackles. I knew when my team won and I, didn't feel like I performed that well. I didn't feel that great because I wanted to be one of the, contributors, difference makers. It was that important, And
when you have smart management and smart people running your organization, and you do have that, and you are setting guys up to succeed, you get to capitalize on it even more as things go on. Look at the Coughlin era Jags are a perfect example. Look at Rob Johnson.
Yeah, right.
Brunell goes down, Johnson comes in. He performs because he's prepared, because he's ready to rock.
He's expected to perform.
If Rob Johnson...
There was no letdown.
How different would the legacy of the entire Jaguars be if Rob Johnson had gone out there and laid an egg?
Right. You wouldn't have Freddie T. You Freddie T.
It changed the franchise, man.
No, I know.
And look at the Ravens. We just talked about that example. Like, say a year or two down the road, Mark Andrews getting a little expensive, probably ready to make Isaiah Likely your tight end 1 and save a little coin there. And
right.
They could trade Andrews and probably get a second. And that could turn into a great guard or something.
Right.
But they continue to do that.
In Trent's defense, right? I got to think he's thinking Parker is Christian's replacement eventually.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I know forget what round he is. He's the kind of player that fits that slot. Now, if he can't do it, we'll upgrade it. Brenton Strange, tell me they don't, like if once Ingram's done, which I don't think is for a little while, maybe he steps in and he's that athletic tight end that can catch and block. And you know what I mean? I mean, he's thinking these things.
You just had Antonio Johnson do this with Rayshon Jenkins.
Johnson, yeah. With Rayshon, correct. So, we have some of that. I don't think on the offensive line we do.
It's not enough.
At least last year we didn't.
It's not enough on either side of the ball.
Oh, right.
It's not going to be perfect. It won't. It's not going to be perfect. It's not like every high-paid veteran on your team you're going to have like a young replacement that's balling his ass off, ready to go. It won't be. It never is.
Right.
But there needs to be more of it than there currently is on the roster, in my opinion.
Well, again, I think it's those that you're expected to perform. Right now, I'm not going to look. It's well documented. Parker ran the wrong route when Trevor hurt his ankle. And it should have never happened. He should have had the ball out already. He should have been in the right spot. He wasn't. Why wasn't he? You can blame the coaches. You can blame whoever. But at the end of the day, he's the only one out there on the field. So you got to know everything. Now, that was bad luck. I'm not saying, it was bad luck. But it shouldn't have happened. And if you knew exactly what you were doing on that given play, it wouldn't have happened. And if everybody does that, and granted they didn't on both sides of the ball, you got a chance to be really good. I mean, you really do. Set aside talent. Everybody's talented. Everybody's fast. Everybody's big. Everyone's strong. Not everyone can play football at the highest level, but pretty close to it. What does it come down to? Being prepared and having that attitude that I'm going to go kick your ass today. On the field, on the court, on the stage. I don't give a crap what we're talking about. That's what makes it a really strong team and strong person. So hopefully they're doing that. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But like we've said all off season long, this is a huge year for this organization. For the quarterback, for Doug, for Trent, all of them. I mean, this is a big year. 500 football is not good enough, and we know it. It's not. It's not. We'll take it if it gets us into the playoffs, no doubt. But that's nothing to write home about. That's 500 ball. Go take that in any other sport and tell me how you feel about 500 ball. Right? Take it in basketball. Take it in baseball. You happy about that? I know it's a little different with football. And again,
college football.
College football, thank you. But again, the playoffs trump that, right? You're in the playoffs at 9-8 or even 8-9. Whatever, you're in. But I'm not sitting like, again, they gotta get it done. I think they will. Real quick, Trevor, I wish I wouldn't I don't know. I don't know how I'd handle it, but asking him about the money, doesn't it? It's just kind of a weird thing, Like, how's the contract talks? Like, I don't know. He tries to handle it well. I don't know. Someone should advise him. Just say, hey, man, when it gets done, it gets done. Whatever. And he kind of said it. He's like, I'm focused on football, but it'd be ideal if it gets done. So, I hope it gets done for him.
There's nothing wrong with him saying that. It's just
no, I know. I was more on the side. I don't even know who asked it, and they got a job to do. I get it. People want to know how the quarterback's feeling about becoming, a $400 million man or something like that. I like how he said us. I'm assuming he's talking about his wife. Be good to get it behind us, and that's great, man. Look, I always say everybody in the league get as much money as you can. Get as much money as you can, and man, $400 million or whatever it ends up being. I have a feeling that he's going to reset the market. I have a feeling they want to reset the market. I don't know that for a fact, but my gut tells me because of these things take time. Well, okay, I'm sure they do. The language and whatnot, but the parameters of a deal shouldn't really take that long. I wouldn't think, right? You're like, okay, what are we looking at? Well, I just saw what Goff got. I want more than that, right? Give me the top 5 and let me look at it. And then, maybe I want the most, because I know someone's going to pass me next year, right? And I won't be the highest paid quarterback in the league. I might be fourth highest paid. So you got to wonder where that's at. Hey, get what you can, Trev. No doubt about it, man. This game can be over for anybody at any given time. So get what you can get that guaranteed money, and it'll be a great thing. I'd like to see him play better, but I believe he will. And you are paying for the future and not the past, right? You are. So that's cool.
And it's not a perfect comparison of what we're talking about, but I am even more appreciative this offseason of the fact that Trevor always does handle being asked certain things, everything very well.
He's fantastic.
And he always says the right thing.
I agree.
Because look, man, I get that he had a great rookie year. All the crap CJ Stroud has said this, dude, that would piss me off if I was a Texans fan, because all he's doing is putting a bigger target on his back. And he might be like that, and he might have an equally as good second season and back it all up, and that's fine. And that's how a lot of guys motivate themselves, and I get it. I'm glad that my quarterback isn't painting that target on his own back.
Yeah.
The way CJ's been saying.
And it's okay. Look, I'm okay with swag. I always have been. Just back it up. Just back it up. You want to talk smack, you want to, bounce around, you want to whatever. I don't grab what you're doing. You want to dance around in between plays? Just back it up, right? Just back it up. I think I told you this story, and we'll end with this. Back to Coach Coughlin. Will be our guest Thursday night at a Graffiti American Burger Bar in Jacksonville Beach, 7 p.m. Kelly Coughlin as well. I can't wait to interview them both. But going into my 5th year, I had an article written out because I heard a couple guys in practice. They were live scrimmages. They weren't cheap. It was back when you could really take people's heads off, and I heard a guy or two, whatever. So anyway, there was an article written about, because a year before I was named Big East's hardest hitter in the conference. And then I had a couple. So a Boston Globe writer who became a friend wrote this article about being a hard hitter and whatever. All Coughlin said to me, we were stretching the morning it came out, and it was during camp, and he came up to me. He didn't even yell. He just said, hey, now you got to do that every game, This is if this is going to be you're the hard hitter, well, then you better show it every single time. And that's all he said. He walked off. I was like, no problem. I'll do, it's how I was taught to play. Be physical, out hit, and you win or have a better chance of winning. All right, that's going to do it for me. Almost an hour long. Great to be back in the saddle, man. Really, I really love doing this show and hanging with Grammage here at the 1010XL Podcast Studios. We'll take this show. It's on Facebook Live. Graham does a great job putting it all over YouTube, 1010XL's YouTube channel, putting it all over social media. And, of course, you can hear it anywhere from Spotify to YouTube to everything in between, iTunes and all that good stuff. I want to thank Team Tommy Mac. Appreciate each and every one of you. You're fantastic. If you can come out Thursday night at Graffiti American Burger Bar, please do. You're all invited. I've already invited you privately, but I'll do it publicly too. And all you fans out there, if you want to come out and say hello to the future Hall of Fame coach and his daughter Kelly, who does a tremendous job with the J Fund. Listen, we all know the J Fund helps families here in Jacksonville. This isn't a J Fund event, but I'm so proud that we're going to be talking about my teammate Jay McGillis and the J Fund. I want to thank all your support. Much love. Peace and love out there. Have a great day. We'll see you later in the week on Friday right here on Catching Up with Tommy Mac. Peace and love.